That's why people ask me, like, why are you picking up leaves on a listing? Why are you leaf blowing?
Okay. So you do that.
I literally want to make sure I'm mitigating everything. I want to make sure my clients know I'm going above and beyond to make sure that I sell their property, right? I don't want them to think there's been one stone unturned, in my opinion.
One leaf unblown.
One leaf not blown.
Yeah.
I just say that because I was like, just closed on a property where I'm like, don't have to leaf blow for another 2 weeks until I get another one.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to Tampa Bay Unlocked, the podcast where we dive into the dynamic world of real estate and business in the vibrant Tampa Bay area. Join us as we sit down with top agents and industry leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories of success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, our interviews will unlock the secrets to the thriving, I messed that up, but that's okay. This is real, people. To thriving in one of Florida's hottest markets. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and motivated by the experts shaping the future of Tampa Bay. Tune in and let's unlock the wisdom from our next guest, who is Lindsay Piraino, one of our newest and greatest top agents here within KW St. Pete and the president of Keller Williams Young Professionals Tampa Bay.
You dropped it.
I'm dropping it.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Yes, something new we're bringing. Lindsay, welcome to Tampa Bay Unlocked.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a privilege and an honor.
It is the same. I feel the same way.
Yes. And you have a podcast that you were doing for a little bit, so this is fun because I don't think I've talked to another podcast guest on this show yet.
That has a podcast.
Yes.
The Real in Real Estate.
The Real in Real Estate.
We haven't done an episode in a while,
It's
so.
all right. It's all right. It happens. But
accountability.
Now we got a new studio, so you got to reel it back in.
Reel it back in. I actually haven't used that pun on there yet, so that's a good one. I know.
That was easy.
I know.
Yeah. So many things to talk about. First direction, you had a very interesting career prior to getting into real estate in two different arenas. So I want you to talk about that and then tell us why you got into real estate. So why don't you tell us about Lindsay before real estate and her days as a dolphin trainer?
Oh, another one. Another mic drop. Yeah, I think always had the dream to be a marine mammal trainer, like most kids do. And then I think throughout my childhood, everyone was supporting it, but to an extent, they're like, it's okay. Like, as you got older, it's okay. You can pick a different career. It's fine.
It's okay if you don't make it.
And then I was like, wait, no, it's not okay if I don't make it. So I ended up born and raised in Syracuse, New York, ended up applying to two schools and two schools only, Tampa, University of Tampa, and then Eckerd College. Got into one of them, which was Eckerd College, wanted to go to Tampa. Got my degrees there in psychology and marine science, and then applied to a bunch of different dolphin training internships. Throughout my time there, I did some pretty cool stuff around town in the St. Pete area, but ended up ultimately accepting a position in the Dominican Republic.
How long were you there?
3 months. Was supposed to be there a year. But that was actually a paid job. So after about 5 years of internships, finally got like the big break and then did it. And I was like, okay, well, what's next? And I feel like that's carried me throughout my entire life. It's like you get to a point where you achieve something and then you're like, okay, well, what's next?
So what's next? So then you went to?
While I was waiting for my visa, actually, for the Dominican, I was trying to do things legally correct instead of just going over there. And then, if you don't go over there with a visa, you get pretty much fined and you can't leave until you pay the fee.
Oh.
I don't know if you know that.
Did not.
So I got a little bit antsy and I ended up going over the Dominican prior to, but I was saving up some money and one of my buddies was like, hey, look, like you're working odd jobs. I was working at a tech company to begin with, like part-time in customer service. A company actually called Sharp Retention, Cutco. Have we heard of that, right? Like realtor gifts that they try to sell all the time?
Yes.
I was the customer success person for a local startup in St. Pete that gave closing gifts for lenders, real estate agents.
Ooh.
So did that part-time.
Little foresight.
Yeah, right, which I just realized talking. And then I also worked in the dining industry in St. Pete, of course. And he's like, hey, look, stop with the 3-4 odd jobs. Just come work at my tech startup in Clearwater. So ended up doing that, working for them for probably a year or so just waiting for that visa that never came. Finally, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go anyway. So set it all up, talked to the employer. At that time, I'd kind of moved up the ranks a little bit. I was still doing search and rescues here for marine animals with, Clearwater, the Marine Mammal Pathobiology Lab in St. Pete. And they were so cool. They were like, Lindsay, do it. And if you decide when you get there, you want to close the chapter and come back, we'll hold your spot for you.
Well, that was nice of them.
Incredible. So yeah, that's what happened. And then I ended up coming back, left my family, which that was tough, right? So, when you go after a dream too, I think the thing for me was I've worked so hard to become a dolphin trainer. And then I got to the point where I was finally getting paid, had the title, but I left everything I loved. So it's like me on an island, which was the dream. My original dream was being on an island training dolphins, jet skiing to work. Super unrealistic. But I almost did it at Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And then I got there and I was like, what the hell? There's nobody here to even share it with. Mm-hmm. I was trying to FaceTime Sean and barely having cell service. We didn't have AC. Third world country craziness. Right. So I decided to come back. But you're
hanging with dolphins all day.
Yeah. But isn't that crazy though? That wasn't enough to keep me going. Yeah. So okay. Just human connection, nature. But
so fast forward.
Yeah, came back, worked at the tech startup for 6.5 years for 3 different companies that went IPO, or for people that don't know, went public, and got to the highest point I could in terms of sales or selling. So an enterprise account manager. Didn't want to manage people. So then I said, oh, hey, real estate. I've always kind of loved it. Had built up enough money too where I thought about investing but didn't really know what I was in for. And then got my license on the side while I was still working. And then there was a lot of tech layoffs happening. 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've been licensed for
2 years.
That long. Yeah. And I was one of the layoffs and I said, okay, let's jump in.
Okay. So now you're in real estate.
Yeah. And I love it.
You love it. You love it. But how did your past experience help you succeed? Because I think if there's any newer agents listening to this and looking up of oh, Lindsay's doing all these things in real estate, but you had it took some time to get things going. But how did your past help you?
I think, you look at, there's so many different occurrences that can get you to that point of oh, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. I think for me, it was having one dream come true, something that I really wanted to make happen and achieving that. And you're like, oh shit, okay, it worked out. Let's go to another thing and moving up the ranks there, right? Constantly mastering things along the way that, and I'm not saying it was perfect either. In different positions being managed by people, I wouldn't say I'm the type of person that is managed well. Just knowing, Ryan's we
know that. I can't keep Lindsay in a box. No.
You start to learn those things about yourself and you're like, okay, regardless of this happening or this happening, I overcame it. I got to the point where I was accomplishing different things and just reminding myself of those along the way, that when it came to real estate, diving full in, that's hard. A lot of people know, we know the stats, right, of people that fall out their first year, their second year. Getting to that point was just constantly reminding myself that I had achieved success and
So you could do it again.
Yeah, so I can do it again.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
And starting over of knowing in the beginning you're going to suck, but you get better with time. Yeah. And so I think that's cool that you experienced that at a high level in other careers and now have been able to do it again in this one.
I actually had similar questions for you.
Okay.
But honestly, just looking back at some of your other podcasts, you went into the Air Force. Obviously, you did university as well. Mm-hmm. But you're team leader. You're the man that we go to, that we look to. And we've talked about this when we were on our YP trip, where you have to step into it all the time. You have to be the face, right? I know you're remembering that conversation we had. What has it been like for you in your past experiences to step into leadership here, right? Even because you were young compared to some of the veterans that have been here, right? Yeah. Not saying that they chose or wanted to step into those roles, but being younger.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Give me the real one, or I swear.
So let's just encompass that and all and boil it down. The question being, what is it like to step into a leadership role in this industry?
No, like what was your experience based on your past career?
How did I lean on that?
Yeah.
Well, in the military, I led a crew of guys that we worked on $80 million airplanes. So you can imagine the responsibility that brings, right? And you have to follow very strict, we call them technical orders. There were books on how to remove a screw. I mean, it was very, very...
A jack screw.
It's one of them. Yes. Anything.
The
the books that we had to follow and work on airplanes were like how to change a simple light bulb, and there was a whole process. I mean, the crazy things. So, I think the military definitely helped me build my confidence, in just stepping up to lead others. But I can go back further than that. I think you'll like this answer because I know you don't like surface. Is that I started working at 13, and I was a DJ of all things at a roller skating rink, right? Which is kind of funny because now here we are again on the mic. But I ran the show, like the whole. What's so funny, Grayson? the crew back here is laughing a little bit.
DJ talking St. Pete.
Yeah, we're out here, but. No, so you can imagine. Here's a 13-year-old boy who can barely see over the stand. Hey guy, but the whole momentum and vibe that people had during that matinee session, or then I even got to work in Saturday nights was what I wanted to happen. So I think I just was put in a position early to lead. Like that rink would fill up with 500 people, and they're all looking at me. I'm on the mic.
Yeah, because I think about going in front of our meetings on Tuesday. There's no way
you could
ever get me. No,
it's like 40 people, 50 people. I think it's fun.
See, yeah, you're just built. It's in there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Did I answer your question? Do you want more?
Yeah. No, that's good.
Okay.
Check.
All right, good. Yeah. So I mean, and I think in real estate, to your point, having past success and things definitely gives you the confidence to move forward. But what's something that you found to be different in the game of real estate from your past careers? Because now you're self-employed, right? When you're working at the tech startup, you still were employed.
Yeah, good question. There's a couple of things going throughout my mind because I feel like, we're talking about dolphin training. Very few people actually become one, right? So everybody tries to intern at every facility across the world. And so that was kind of in my hands of if you're going to do this, you need to put in the effort, I think, and having that discipline. So for me, when it comes to, I don't know.
What's different?
I mean, going into corporate real estate from dolphin training too, you're managed by people. You're building someone else's dream. That's how I always think about it, probably to help me move on from it. But when it comes to real estate, you're building your own. You're holding yourself accountable, right? So it takes in a little bit of the dolphin training of if you're going to do this, this is what you got to do. And then just the systems put in place, from corporate America, right? There's a system, there's a process. Whether you think it's a better way, sometimes they don't care, right? And that was a roadblock I would constantly come into. It's okay, I understand this is the process. There's so many things I learned in corporate America that now I get to take pieces of what I like, both. Honestly, the short summary is I've taken experiences from both situations, dolphin training where I had to have the discipline, corporate America where I had the structure, and I now combine it into my own.
Yeah, so how fun is that? Tell me, are you loving it?
How many times can I swear? Maybe once.
I mean,
I literally fucking love it.
Okay, we dropped that bomb. She really loves it. Tell Kathy, that's $20.
I truly do. Every single day.
What about it do you love?
All aspects of it.
Because I feel like everyone has... That's right. I think I got something in my eye.
You need a minute?
No, I'm good. So, what do you mean? So, all aspects. You love the whole process.
Saw that.
Start to finish. No, it wasn't... I'm not looking at the time.
God, everything. And I know this is against the MREA book to an extent, right? Because you constantly tell me to hey, look, if you want to maximize what you're doing, you need to offload, you need to delegate to an extent. But
this is true.
I love the admin. I love the prospecting. I love forming my own structure and book of how I'm going to talk to clients, to buyers. How am I going to list a home? I get to define that. I get to do my own marketing. I get to have a clear picture of how I want to communicate my value to somebody. And I have no problem doing so.
No, you're really good at it.
Right?
You're really good at it.
At the end of the day, it's you, yourself, and I know other people go on teams, and that's perfect, right? Because on that team, just like in corporate America, I found out who I was. I found out what systems I preferred. So I think that's necessary too. But being a standalone agent, I appreciate all aspects of it. Even the admin in terms of like one day you come in and it's rainy, right? Like no one comes into the office when it's raining.
It's true.
I can come into the office and do my TC work or admin work. I've started to hire.
If you had to choose one aspect of it, and it was like, this is the only part of the job you'll ever going to do again, what would it be?
Open houses.
Open houses.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that came to mind?
Yeah.
Okay, incredible. Why?
Because I get to use every ounce of my skill there. I get to sell the home. I get to learn it, do the knowledge. I get to talk to people about it. It's like everything you've worked for comes to an open house.
So do you think that
and it gives you something to do?
Well, yes. Do you is open houses a way for one of your main sources to get business? And is that how you started? So I know it's a twofold question, but kind of the same.
Yes, I get so much business from open houses.
So let's talk about that. Like, what's your strategy? Like, because there's some agents listening right now that are like, I hate open houses. And what would you say to them?
Okay, so this is interesting, right? Because I've started teaching some of those classes here for Ignite. And you want to tell these new agents so many things. A lot of it cannot be taught. It has to come through experience. You can tell, like, you can give them so much information, like, hey, here's a binder, here's this, create your own brand, your processes, just follow that to a T. But they're learning so many other things that it's like, it's just chaos, right? You remember your first like year where you're just trying to figure out, what do I do? I would say, yes, it's a number one place I generate business, but you cannot teach somebody how to talk or how to be
a person,
social. Like if you're desperate, desperation's going to seep through. Maybe not in the first 5 minutes, but definitely in your closing. If you're trying to close them before they get out the door, they're probably going to witness it. I recently did an open house with one of the teams here we have, and they have a different closing style than I do. So some of that makes me cringe because I'm a little bit more laid back. I don't do so 10 a.m. tomorrow. I don't push for that. I'm more so like, let me bring as much value to you as possible so that you want to work with me. So for instance, something that works really well is someone, say a couple comes into the open house, they write their name down. I always get them to sign in, just, fancy pen. I say this to the new guys, like, bring in a fancy fountain pen. And, if they're a little bit reluctant to sign in, be like, by the way, it's a fountain pen. Sorry if you don't know how to use it. Or like if you have trouble. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to have trouble. Let me try it.
No, I know how to use a pen. Yeah.
So things like that, techniques like that, that when they leave, or they're on their way out, hey, by the way, there's an open house down the street. If this didn't really like meet your needs, even if it's my listing, right? If it didn't meet your needs, there's another open house. Let me send it to you. Or, you have some time. Like, let me send you these other.
Yeah.
And that's how I follow up too.
You're showing up with a piece of value.
Yeah.
Not just,
because they came to this open house for a reason, right? Like, it's a 3-2.
Let
me send them other 3-2s that are similar in this price point.
I agree with that. I think that's super important to build rapport.
Rather than just like follow up in 2 days. Hey, what's going on? Do you need, are you working with somebody?
Yeah. So open houses, you love that.
Yeah.
How much prep do you do beforehand?
Quite a bit. But I'll typically have it done, right? Like after the first one, I have a whole binder set, a placard set in my open houses.
For that house, though.
Yep, for that specific house. I try to.
Because I feel like that's kind of a funny thing when you walk into a house and the agent doesn't know.
And yeah, just simple things.
If it's fresh, if it's salt water or chlorine.
Right. That's the worst.
And the only reason I bring that up is because I got caught with my pants down at an open house.
Now we're all visualizing, right?
Not actually, but I knew that would be funny. And someone asked me that. Like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, I should definitely know that. Yeah. That's a stupid thing.
You ever watch those, like, the Selling Sunset shows or any of those selling
Of course.
the OC?
Didn't we all watch that before we got into the business?
True. Guilty. But, like, if there's multi-million-dollar houses, like, honestly, the square footage, maybe, like, the seawall, the size.
You should know,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
Just what?
So do you think you'll always be a single agent?
Yeah.
Why? So for those thinking about starting a team.
Like, are you asking me if I would ever start a team?
Yes. Because I think there's a different, like I think I want to start to get into the mindset of the agents who succeed well as single agents versus those who build out a team, right? And what's the difference in their mindset?
Yeah, we did a really awesome realtor roundtable. Well, not roundtable per se, but we interviewed 3 of the top female agents. I really resonated with one of them specifically. She hasn't had a team, doesn't have a team per se built out. And just her lifestyle where she's at now.
You like that?
I do. Yeah.
Less stress.
Because you also saw from the other 2, a little bit more tense, more stressed. You go through them quite a bit, right? Like you're investing into somebody that has their own dream.
I think who you're referring to also is just in a different phase of life.
Yeah.
I think that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But she made it and to be the top agent too.
So what do you have currently in place for leverage? Or are you doing it all? And will you think?
Are we talking about the 3 L's? What specific leverage?
Like in your business now, like because you said you're doing everything. So does that mean everything?
Yeah, I've just started thinking about a TC.
Yes.
But it's taking some
time. So for
time
those listening, I'm a big proponent of leverage.
Yes.
Yes. Am
100%.
I not?
Yeah. You are.
So
you
this
really
is like
are.
a little coaching session to get
But do you see benefits to how I run business? We've had these conversations about transactions and you're like, oh, didn't know that. Or I don't even touch that.
But do I need to?
I want to touch it.
I think it depends on who you are. So I think anyone listening that doesn't use leverage, you can only get so far.
I'm happy with that point.
I know, but I think that's where there's more
I
potential.
don't have goals to be like the best, the top agent. I just love doing what I do every day. And the money that comes along is a bonus. Oh, yeah, for sure. But the best, quality over quantity. That's my focus. Which I know is definitely opposing KW. Ryan's like, I'm going to smash you.
Well, I just think there's a way to think about that you can provide the best. Are you providing the best service if you're trying to do it all? I think that's the question.
Yeah. I
Because
think
if
I'm at a
you're
healthy point of managing the listings and the buyers that I currently have. Although it did get a little dicey there for a second, which is why we were talking about having a TC.
Yes.
We're getting there.
Yes. I think as you continue to do the things that you're doing, you may need it.
For sure.
Yes.
We just got to make sure they have my process in place. And
Well, I think
we
you can
don't
teach that.
lose. Yeah. Right. And that's what I'm doing now. It's just a
Yes.
little slow.
That's all right. So YP, let's talk about that. What is KWYP?
Keller Williams Young Professionals. Guys, it's coming to the Tampa Bay area.
Yes, it's big.
I'm glad you're dropping it.
I'm dropping it. I think this is
gonna be
your
hot.
soft introduction as we've been working together behind the scenes to make this happen.
Yep.
And so what do you see this doing for our area and the young professionals that are in real estate?
First word that just came to mind is ignite. Hopefully you'll feel the same way about that. But there's so many young professionals in this area, right? And I think in every single brokerage too, we'll just keep it with KW, that maybe like fall through the cracks to an extent, or just need a little bit more support or need kind of like a cohort of people around them to lift them up, right? Especially the agents that maybe don't necessarily want to go on a team and they're figuring it out along the way, like I was. And I think we're going to figure out what the mission, the vision, is once we get our core 4. That's like the first step. And just kind of backtrack a little bit, we have to get a core 4 so that we can build this, so that we can come up with a mission and what our goal is,
Meaning
right?
4 people that are going to help lead this with Lindsay.
Yeah, the core
Yes.
4.
The core 4.
The core
yes.
4.
Yes.
But yeah, so many different visions. I don't even want to like start talking about it first because I feel like that initial meeting when we get those 4 people from the different brokerages are just going to we're going to mastermind, come up with something incredible.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this now and you're interested in being a part of leadership for a young professionals community, you should email Lindsay at
Lindsay Piraino at gmail.com. We'll put it in the show notes.
Put it in the show notes. Yes. No, I'm excited. I think there's so much collaboration within St. Pete and the greater Tampa Bay area and other industries. And to stay industry focused with people who are doing innovative things is important. And to find your people
Yeah. And we're going to have a launch party in January.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. Because in a lot of planning, but a lot of fun. But I was just thinking about, like, you come into this new industry that's very self-driven and all that, and you look ahead and you see someone who's been doing it for 20 years. You just can't relate.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to learn from them because they're out of touch sometimes, not always,
Right.
with what it means to be younger in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much collaboration, connection too, right? The more that you expand your connections, especially like KWYP is incredible. Just got to be a part of the chat on Facebook.
Oh, congrats.
That thing blows up.
Welcome to the
minute
chaos.
by minute.
Yes.
But they are on there constantly like, hey, do I know anybody in Alabama? Do I know anyone in Southern California? And they're just blasting out referrals. So it's like also mailbox money, which isn't the main objective here, but
It's a byproduct
my
of a great
goodness.
group. Yes. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's cool.
I'm
I'm
excited
super
for it.
excited. I'm super grateful and proud of you for heading that project because it is a big one.
Yeah, you're
But-
welcome.
But it's going to do cool things for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can we turn it to you?
Sure.
Because I didn't realize I was going to get interrogated the whole time. All right. In terms of the Air Force, I've wanted to know, I've listened to some podcasts, but like, what was the reason that you ended up going in to the Air Force?
I had, I didn't have much direction as I was leaving high school from my, like, there was no plans of like, Ryan, you need to go to college, you need to do this. It was just kind of like, figure it out. And,
And you were like, Air Force.
well, no, I
Yes.
remember being younger and watching maybe like Discovery Channel of like pilots going through pilot training. And I love airplanes. I don't know. I've always been interested in the sky. Like I remember being younger being like, oh, I can't wait to skydive. And so
It should be your like real estate slogan, like reach for the sky,
Reach
reach
for the-
for
yeah.
the stars.
it's, no, it's true. I think you need to. One of my favorite lines by Gary Keller is in a universe this big, how can you think small?
Oh,
Right. Get you.
it makes me feel that way.
It gets you. But back to your question, the Air Force. The Air Force for me was, I mean, I can give you the short story on that. I filled out a form online because I was like, let me just see if I qualify because I don't even know.
At this time, what were you doing? Like,
I
where
was
were you?
a junior in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I filled out a form online, met with a recruiter.
Gotcha.
And before I knew it, I was signed up and didn't know what the heck was going on. And I was in what they called the delayed entry program. So I knew all senior year that after I graduated, I was going to enlist. So senior year was kind of chill. And so got job selection. But I was so naive and had so little direction that I didn't even know. What we got, Dom? Okay. That I didn't even know that you needed a degree to become a pilot. Like I didn't learn that until I was going through the process, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So, long story short, I ended up as an aircraft mechanic on C-130s, which is big planes, and went through all the training. And yeah, I lived in Germany for 2 years, and then I was stationed in Florida, and it was a good time. I don't know if I don't remember what your exact question was, but
No, you're there.
yeah.
It's just
So it was a lack of direction from school, from family of like my sister was one of the first to graduate college. So like we just didn't come from that type of environment of like you had to go to school.
I have
So-
like two questions that are like
Sure.
follow up. You talk about your sister a lot.
Yeah.
Your close family. It's you, your parents.
My sister's my only blood sibling.
Tell me more.
I have step siblings. Both
Okay.
parents are remarried.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But my sister Riley is incredibly close. Yes, we're like homies. Tight. We know everything.
Love that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
little Leo.
Yes, and my nephew, which he's the newest and greatest addition to the family.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, the second question was Germany. I remember when I was getting ready to go to the Dominican, it wasn't just like packing my bags. It was like, oh, this is kind of bittersweet because I'm doing something that, you know, like I love or I'm excited for. But there was like a lot of tears because you're leaving behind things that you know. Did you know how long you were going to be in Germany? Was it a smooth process where you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to Germany?
Well, I didn't really. So you got a dream sheet of places that you wanted to get stationed. So you go through, I went through 6 months of technical training. And so during that 6 months, you're just waiting to find out, to get orders to where you're going to go. And so you fill out a dream sheet of like, okay, if I was stateside, here's the places I want to go. If I was going to go overseas, here's the places I was going to go. But there's only so many bases that have the airframe that I was working on. So you're kind of then limited by that selection. And so my first choice was Germany, because it's like, if you're going to be in the military, like, let's do the damn thing, you know? Like,
That's
right?
Yeah, that's some history.
let's go. And so I don't actually remember where or how I felt when I found out I was going there. But I did have a serious girlfriend at the time, and that was probably the hardest thing of thinking about that. At the same time, it was like I didn't have a choice. It was like, this is just happening. So I remember, I think it was like March 20th is when I flew over there, and yeah, I mean, it was a little weird. Like, I remember being in the airport saying goodbye of like, oof, I don't know when I'm going to see you again, you know? Like, and I knew I was going to be there for 2 years. So, yeah, but you just rolled with it.
That was kind of like my experience, like Dominican, fully planned to be there for a year.
Right.
Until I got there. And then it was like, oh my gosh.
But I wonder if I had a choice of if I would have, I think I was fine. But at the same time, like, I didn't
have like, I don't know, Hawaii or Spain.
No,
or just like,
no, those bases weren't available.
Okay.
Germany was great.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Learned a lot. I mean, I think back to your leadership question, to tie it to real estate a little bit. I mean, I didn't know, I knew maybe 1 or 2 guys that I went through training with that were going to be over there, and that was it. So it was like starting fresh all over again and having to prove yourself and, you know, build the skills required to get respect. Because it was a dog-eat-dog world out there on the flight line. Like, people think the military is all like P's and Q's and everyone's proper. No, it's nasty on the inside. Nasty. Like, lot of hazing, full of alcoholics. I mean, it's crazy.
It sounds like a fraternity, man.
Yeah, I mean, essentially. I mean, you think about it. I was 19 years old in Germany, and the drinking age is 16. And you have a bunch of mechanics. I mean, think of a stereotypical mechanic, and now add just airframe, and these are young kids that now have money because they have full-time jobs. So you can imagine the chaos.
You know, I was actually really surprised during KWYP that when we were at the event or the summit in Philly, so many agents were military focused.
I mean, because they move, right?
So
Military
many.
move a lot. I think it's a great community to tap into.
Huge community within YP.
Yeah, I mean, I think that because you're like, oh, here's a hard thing. Go call people every day and talk to. You're like, that's all I have to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you do that your first year?
What, call people?
Yeah. Prospecting, everything.
Yeah, but I always made it like, once I think you get the momentum going of like, okay, you have a couple open house people, and like, I joined a team, so there's a big database to call through.
So they weren't so cold there.
Yeah, like I could use the team name to like kind of warm it up. And like I was I'll share, like, I'm silly with calling people I don't know. Like, I'll pretend like we were long lost best friends. And like kind of make you feel
hey, what's up? It's been a minute.
Yeah, no, I'll be like, Lindsay, what's up? How are you? It's Ryan. Ryan Bogdan? Is my name not ringing a bell? I didn't think it would.
Oh my God.
Like, I would have so much fun because it's like I didn't know these people, and I was just trying to not sound like everyone else.
Yeah.
And so
it's that thing.
What?
Not sound like everyone else.
Yes.
Be better than everybody else.
Be better than everyone else.
I feel like top producers have something in there.
Don't get lost in the sea of sameness.
Yeah.
That was a line I learned from a branding company that I think is really important. And for anyone listening, like in the industry, how can you distinguish yourself to be different? Because everyone ends up with the same headshot, but making the same post, saying the same things.
Can we just talk about real estate headshots? Why are they not updated every 5 years?
There should be a requirement.
What?
Yes. That is a funny thing in this world.
Man.
That, especially if you ever meet like the listing agent out at the house and you're like, oh.
What happened to you the last couple of years?
What happened? Storm came in, huh?
No. Real estate, tough, huh?
Stress got you. Anyhow, sorry, but it's true. You should update your headshot.
Yeah.
This is a real thing. We're talking industry. This is Tampa Bay Unlocked. Unlock a new headshot.
Free headshots. We just had them here. KW.
Yes. Yes.
We got you guys.
New agent orientation. Get your headshot updated.
Did you see any veterans going in there, by the way?
Some people do. I think it's smart. Like, it's 2024, not 2000.
You want to be a photography vendor?
Yes. We have
Give
one.
people free headshots. No, yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
I do.
Okay.
Just a couple.
Sorry for anyone, like, we're off the road, but Lindsay says, if we're doing this, I'm asking you questions. I'm like, all right, fair.
Yeah. So how did you get into real estate? Was there, like, dribblings in different places?
I was at Northwestern Mutual prior, so that was my introduction to sales.
Finance.
Yeah. Selling life insurance, disability policies, and all that craziness. And so I learned to sell something really hard. And one of my funny lines I say, there was a survey done that more people will talk about their sex lives than they will their finances. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine being in an industry where nobody wants to talk to you. But I got good at it. Mm-hmm. And however, during COVID, everything went to Zoom, and I literally was having 8 Zoom meetings a day, like back to back, like sitting in my basketball shorts and had my like dedicated like Zoom shirt on the back. You know, you just changed it out every couple days. And this is real. I'm telling you how.
No, I remember.
Yeah, how that went down, right? And I realized like I cannot, like this is not, I'm good at this, but I do not see me doing this for 30 years. Like I'm just not, I'm structured and all that, but I'm not the guy that's going to grow this. I'm going to be 30 years from now in the office saying the same thing, having the same conversations about wealth building.
Like you always felt that way. There wasn't like, let me continue to climb the ladder.
No, there was. And if Martin Markovitz is listening, like I didn't know that at the time. He was my mentor and I was with him. This wasn't a thought until I had later, because a picture was painted very clear of like my partner and I, Martin, we were taking this thing to the moon. Like we had it all figured out. But there was like, I'm a deep thinker, and there was something maybe deeper that I didn't recognize until later, that the future was not that, because I have too much energy and I need to move. And so to the real estate, I was always interested, and I knew I couldn't sell it from behind a computer, technically. Like I had to be out and about and meet people. So I took a risk like you, but knew I achieved hard things before, and I moved to St. Pete knowing only my sister and brother-in-law. And I had a real estate license that I got while I was still in Pennsylvania, and the rest is history. I mean, I built it on open houses and working.
What was your first transaction ever?
It was, so I was on the team, Lockhart Walseth team. Thank you, Troy Walseth and Terry Walseth and Chase Walseth, for everything you guys have done.
They're incredible.
Incredible, and I don't get to express that enough to them. But I got a lead from the team, and it was a family from Nebraska looking to buy, and what a lucky daughter, a condo for their daughter as she went to Eckerd College. So that way she didn't have to stay in the dorms.
Wow.
Yes, $177,000 was that condo. And yeah, so she was very lucky. But I was so grateful. That was my first transaction because the parents were out of state. Mm-hmm. And I was showing the daughter. And so in between, like they would have a question, but I could hang up and call Troy and then call him back. Like it wasn't like I had to have the answer right there because they were out of state. So it was very helpful, which coincidentally enough, my second transaction or third, I think it was a second, was again $177,000. Weird. Just a random number to have back to back.
Should get tattooed somewhere.
Right.
Play lottery.
177. Yeah. So you remember that. What was your first?
Oh, it was shambles. Yeah, I remember it. I don't think I can forget it as hard as I try. Everything practically went smooth, but it was from a cold call. Got a listing.
You were cold call.
Yeah, everybody should cold call their first year. You should. But yeah, I was cold calling because I did have buyer clients that were interested in a specific community, right? So the minute that you have a need to call, I have to have a need. I cannot just like pick up and start calling like, hey, are you interested in selling?
So that's a little different.
It's got to be like...
Because you were on a mission.
True. I was on a mission. But still cold calling.
No, for sure. I'm not knocking that. But
it's not like ice cold, but it's cold.
It's cold.
So someone did pick up. Well, actually, I was sending texts too. So I had sent a text saying like, hey, I have clients. They're about to have their first baby. You know, like they're looking for a place. They really love this community. If you're interested in selling or if you know somebody that is, let me know.
You dropped the baby line?
I did.
That was a hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put too much detail in, but you know me.
Okay.
So yeah, they replied back and went over for a listing appointment in my blazer, sweat through the entire thing. They didn't know, but I was like shaking in my boots. Had all my listing documents out.
Were you by yourself?
By myself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And went over there. I don't know how I did it because I was truly just, I was portraying that I was confident, but I in no means was. Got it signed, and my friends ended up purchasing it. They ended up then buying a different home. So it was like a triple transaction.
Whammy.
Yeah.
What a great way to enter.
The thing with that is she wasn't fully ready to sell. So there were some emotional hiccups along the way that really just made me work for the entire
Let's talk about that.
commission.
I don't think there's enough talk about the psychological therapist caps that we have to wear in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
What have you experienced from that side?
Empathy. Even if you don't feel it, you have to find it. You have to find the words that tell someone that you hear them or that you understand to some extent what they're going through. I feel like there's a good amount of agents that haven't actually sold their first home, right? Or maybe bought their first home, right? So until you've actually maybe done that yourself, you can't really understand the pressure that goes into it. Fortunately enough, I have, so I'm able to relate. But there's just so much the capacity that you have to have for people, right? Because we're not just working per se one client or customer at a time. We could be working multiple. So it's just being able to have grace for them. And I remember I was on a team for a couple of months. We can all probably figure out how that went down, but was on a team for a couple of months where I remember that person said to me, "You try too hard to be liked by your clients." For me, it was important that they understood, right? That I want to be, I want to be their friend, so to speak. I want them to trust me throughout this process. There is, and I take that now and I carry it with me all the time. Because yes, you can be friends with your clients, right? And I know a lot of agents can be, but you do have to withhold some of that a little bit. Because when you cross that boundary of being very good friends with some of your clients, they start telling you things that then you have to hold extra space for rather than just the professional one. So I'd say be very mindful of how empathetic you are with your clients and customers. Keep it as professional as possible so that they don't just unload all of their personal problems, but it's obviously one of the biggest transactions of their life. We've heard it. We talk about it all the time. But it's really just saving, that space in your heart for people, even when you're tired, even when you're just like, you got to have some sort of boundaries, but you figure it out your first couple years.
That was a great analysis and breakdown, I think, of the empathy part and not crossing the line, which can be tough, right? But I personally think I do a great job of I shut it down.
Shut it down real quick.
Yeah, I think it's just
I found the balance too.
Yeah, I mean, some
point.
people are going through divorce, or they're having a baby, or they're thinking this, or they're moving in together for the first. There is things, or you never know what people are going through, and at the same time, I always work to bring it back to what's next?
Yeah.
Let's keep the ball moving as long as it's reminding them of why they're doing it, and helping them table some of the emotions.
Yeah.
But it is emotional roller coaster.
100%.
I think if you set that up in the beginning, I love that, especially first-time home buyers, of telling them there's going to be a part in this transaction where you're going to be upset.
That's one thing I've taken from you.
And it just, because then when you get to that, you can say, remember the beginning when I said, we're at it right now.
Yeah.
It's going to pass.
Right.
But I think if you don't set that expectation up front, and then they get there and they think they want to back out, or I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, or they're mad at you, and you're like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So.
And in the contract too, it helps when you're in your listing agreement, there's a section that says like, do you want me to withhold verbal offers? I always bring that up. I try to always bring it up because that gives me the ability to then have that conversation like, hey, look, we're going to get a lot of offers. Some are going to be lowball. Some aren't going to actually be on a contract. Do you want to know about those? And then they kind of inquire a little bit more and you can give them a story, right? So much easier to give a story of what's happened in the past. With newer agents, you don't necessarily have stories. So talk to other agents, learn about the stories, tell them as if they were your own, or, hey, in my experience, I've heard this happen before. So you can preface along the way, hey, throughout the transaction, some of these things might not make you happy, They're going to be stressful, but like you said, we're going to work through them.
Yes.
Together.
I think it's setting it up front and knowing that way you can point at it. I like to just point at the awkward. I can't remember where I learned that, but I know in like any situation, like if there's something awkward, we should just point at it quickly. Right? Because then it's just less, then it's like, oh, got it. But if we let that thing sit in the room, that elephant, boy, it's ugly.
Yes. And I think being a new agent, that's something that we don't want to talk about, right? Because maybe when you're new, you don't necessarily know your value right off the bat. Top producers have a track record. It's much easier to talk about it once you've done it several times. You don't even worry about the things that haven't worked out because they've worked right so many times. But yeah.
How do you make sure that you have space for that? Like, what's your self-care? Because I think some agents, and I've sat across from them, that are, you can just see it in their face, they're burnt out because they are carrying so much weight.
Have you seen me burnt out yet?
I don't think so.
Because I vent about it a lot.
I don't think so.
No, it hasn't happened yet. And I've had a pretty good year.
Yeah. No, you're doing great. You're doing cool things.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I vent a lot.
So how do you vent?
Vent a lot. If I could have a podcast where I knew none of my clients would listen to it, I would have one. Just because some of the things that they don't even know happen behind the scenes, like, you know, so many things happen. So many things are left unsaid, right, to them, right? Because you don't want to tell them too much. Yes. I try to be as transparent as possible when something's going crazy, right? They're going to hear it in my voice like, all right, hey, I've been managing this behind the scenes. Just want to let you know we're figuring it out. You know, I'm not just going to call them every time and be like, oh, well, title found a lien and now we can't close.
No. You have to be. We learned in leadership training that there's level 1 problems and there's level 5 problems. Grayson knows. She's shaking her head yes.
Grayson's a level 3.
No. A level 5 problem, this is what you mean by that. You don't call your clients with level 1 problems, meaning there's a lien on your property. And they go, well, what does that mean? And you're like, there's a lien on your property. Idea. You just said what the problem is. Where then like 2, 3, 4, you get through, there's a lien on the property and title's looking into it. There's a lien on the property, title's looking into it. It's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to be big. You get to 5 is there was a lien on the property, title took care of it. We already called, got it cleared. Here's what needs to happen. Like you have the whole solution. That's how you should show up.
That's a very corporate America thing too. Like when I was sitting in with the CEO at various times, it's like, why are you bringing up an issue if you haven't found solutions that I can either choose from or that you have already helped to manage?
Yes. Give me options. You bring me a problem and
you just bring me an open-ended problem.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I got enough of them.
Yeah, right? It's like, think about yourself in the seat of these buyers or sellers, right? Like, that's why people ask me, like, why are you picking up leaves on a listing? Why are you leaf blowing?
So you do that.
I literally want to make sure I'm mitigating everything. I want to make sure my clients know I'm going above and beyond to make sure that I sell their property, right? I don't want them to think there's been one stone unturned, in my opinion.
One leaf unblown.
One leaf not blown. Yeah. I just say that because I was like, just close on a property where I'm like, don't have to leaf blow for another 2 weeks until I get another one. But, like, honestly, it matters. And I know you'd probably say, like, you could hire someone or you don't have to do it at all.
Right.
I like leaf blowing. Sometimes.
That's okay. How many? So maybe you should start a landscaping business.
Just because you know how to do something doesn't mean you need to start a business.
One of my favorite lines from my sister, Riley, shout out. If she probably isn't listening to this one, it's fine. But...
Dominique, send.
She says all the time, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Leaf blower.
Okay, whoa, back it up. Doesn't apply to me.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Now, if I become low on funds, yes, I'll take what you said into consideration. And I probably won't leaf blow.
Oh, God.
And I'll save, time so that I can go prospect new.
Right.
You didn't know where I was going with that,
no,
did you?
I was like, what? Yeah. Oh.
Delegate.
Yes. Got it. No, you should delegate. I'm a big proponent of that.
I know. You've said it
several
several times.
It's not what you do in a day, it's what gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just how you go faster, quicker.
I know it's very different, but I just...
It's okay. There's many people listening right now that will agree with you and agree with me.
It's called balance.
It's called balance. Yes. What else you got for me?
Nothing
Right
now.
That's what you...
I think I asked everything I needed to ask.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you were really like keen on that leadership piece.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I think we delved in
Okay, good.
deep enough.
All right, good. I appreciate that.
Is there anything
I just
else
wanna
you
make
have
sure I'm off
left
the hook.
unsaid?
While we're live here. I don't know. I think you did a great job. I'm excited for what you got going on in your future. And even though you're early in your career, you're shown to be a great example for the office. And I'm always about leadership and growing other leaders. So for anyone listening that's interested, I mean, wait for YP to come because I think it's going to create a ripple effect in our market.
Yeah. We'll start dripping some marketing stuff too once I tweak it.
Yes,
Ryan's got some high standards on the marketing side,
I do.
but we'll figure
Gracie
it
knows.
out. It's not good enough yet.
It's
No,
true.
it's going to be vibey though. It's got to,
Yes.
what would you say? Explain it.
The
Explain
party?
what I'm going towards in terms of the marketing for KWYP. I don't want to say Miami by any means because Miami's got their own thing, but it does have
it's
like
a
a cool,
warm sunset, like beach, but city vibe, which is the greater Tampa Bay area.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and us bringing this, it is to attract and let other markets outside of our area know what is here.
Yeah.
And we live and work in a place that people want to be. So
Yeah.
want to just spread the joy.
And if it reaches, if you guys are hearing this from the Tampa area, we got Brandon coming in, Market Center, Gulf Beaches, Market Center. What we got? 5.
Office, if you're not familiar, that's what we call our offices.
Yeah. It's a good preface.
Yes.
But we have about 5 or 6 market centers or offices that we've included in the Tampa Bay piece. So,
It's going to be awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. If people are interested in learning more about you, I know we got your email in there. Where else can they find you?
Instagram, St. Pete Real Estate, locked and loaded, that handle early on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good start.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Like, share, subscribe, share with a friend, share with someone who's thinking about getting in the business or is already in and wants a little funny laugh, a funny listen, a funny, I don't know. We've been doing this too long. I gotta go. See you on the next one. All right, good work.
What was the time?